Welcome back. Today we've got something different yet again. We're exploring. We're taking trips into lands well, we're not really. I'm just staying right here. Actually, that's not true. I'm not going to be here next week. Anyway, terrible intro. So, today we're going to take a look at a new Kickstarter from John Blanche and Zealot Miniatures. And I'm really interested to look at this. I really want to see what this is. I've been saving it, haven't looked at it at all, so we're going to experience this for the first time together, unless you've already seen it, in which case you won't be experiencing this for the first time because you'll already know, which is a totally pointless tangent. Anyway, also, you already knew that. This is Mörderin by John Blanche. This isn't a sponsored thing, by the way. This is just, I want to take a look at them because it's new miniatures. Miniatures is kind of what we do around here, so it seems like it's appropriate, right? So, they just got one just now. So, Mörderin by John Blanche. So, it's a new range of 32mm grimdark femme miniatures based upon John Blanche's artwork. I mean, just the little tiny portraits right there. The little teeny tiny portraits. It's immediate. It's so immediately recognisable in the best way. We love John Blanche. I think it's fair to say he's an absolute legend. He's had such a formative impact on like the biggest sort of tabletop board game. Like, it's just 40k and fantasy, just Games Workshop products as a whole. Their entire visual style is essentially a John Blanche creation. So every time I see some of his artwork, there's just a little part of my brain that just goes, oh yeah, that's it. Just, you just see it and you just know immediately. Oh, it just makes me excited to see what the models look like. So, very simple this one. So what you get, you keep things simple. There's only one pledge level for 30 quid. You get all 4 Mörderin miniatures. I'm assuming it's Mörderin. There's like an umlaut or something in there, and that might affect it, but I'm not going to try and work out how to actually go around that. So we've got Jägerin, Apollonia, Osterhilt, and Salomia. Decent names, to be fair. Very like, I don't know, I'd use those in D&D. I'd absolutely use those in D&D. And any free unlocked stretch goals. Okay, so you've just got one pledge level, that's it. You get all the miniatures, you're sorted. Keeps it simple, I guess. Right, we ready for the scroll? We ready for the great scroll down for the first model? Let's see oh, there we go. Okay, so this is Jägerin. Let's just boost it up a little bit. Alright, I have to admit, okay, the first immediate impression is, I feel like for John Blanche's stuff, there is such an abundance of texture on his art. So when you look at his pictures, his drawings, his paintings, his artwork as a whole, there is a lot of texture. There's a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily say detail. It's almost like visual noise, but that makes it sound like it's sort of messy and, like low quality or something. That's not what I mean. Texture is the only way I can think of it. And the immediate thing for me, looking at Jägerin, because it is a render, because it's not a produced miniature, so I'm not sure what the material is. We'll have to have a look and find out. But it doesn't immediately hugely feel like John Blanche's stuff. But to be fair, it is a 3D render, and there are the hallmarks there, right? There are definitely the hallmarks. Like a good number of straps across the arms, across the corset, the weaponry being held, the style of boot even is quite like, it's kind of, there's a recognisable, like, I guess, visual language there. Does very much feel the part, but I almost feel like I kind of want to see a painted version of one of these. One that's been properly painted and maybe even dirtied up. Like, there's an entire style of painting that's come from John Blanche's art, which is Blanchitsu, and it's this whole, quite muted colours, a heavy emphasis on, like, kind of browns, oranges, reds, that sort of thing. There is a whole sort of movement behind it, which also involves kind of just dirtying things up, making that a bit more kind of gritty and grimy, and I feel like this would benefit a lot from having that, but at the same time, I can understand if they don't want to steer people that way, if they don't want to, like, clutter up the example model with a, like, one style of how you might paint it. So I think I get it. It does look decent, to be fair. It does look decent. I really like, I mean, again, things like the hat, very recognisable. The veil over the face that is also, like, studded and stuff is super cool. I do like the double pistols and sword approach to weaponry. Really like that sort of, like, loadout, I guess. It also has that really fun thing of being kind of fantasy, but also quite, I mean, it feels like a very hefty mix of both sci-fi and fantasy, which Again, I think it's pretty much a hallmark, isn't it? Extremely rogue trader / inquisitor, which isn't a bad thing, obviously. Okay, let's see what the artwork is. There we go. So we do have some alternate angles. Yeah, I mean, it's a good looking model. The artwork, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. That and that are the same thing, right? Obviously, one is in miniature form, the other one is art. But do you see what I mean about the kind of the noise aspect, the detail aspect, the fact that there's a lot of texture and stuff that the actual model is missing without any colour or stuff like that on it? I do feel like that's almost a little bit of a detriment to the model. Not that the model is bad. Funnily enough, I really like the artwork, which you will not be surprised by. I do feel as though maybe would making them bigger, would them being like more 40mm or 54mm allow for things like the guns, for instance? The guns on the model are a lot thicker and heavier than the guns in the artwork, which does throw it off a little bit. Like, the scaling is slightly different, but that's going to be a necessity thing, right? Is that something that if the models were made bigger, it could be that little bit closer, maybe? I feel like at this point I've really got to put some hefty time into just learning to sculpt myself so that I can back up these baseless comments with some sort of, personal experience. That's only semi a joke, by the way. I am actually trying to do that because I'm going to talk about this stuff all the time, as I have been for literally years. I should probably have some goddamn experience in it myself, right? Anyway, that is a good looking model. I really like the artwork, of course. So we also have his Salomia. The font is very appropriate and also quite difficult to read. Okay, I have to admit that's not grabbed me all that much. That's not grabbed me a huge amount. I think maybe we need the artwork for this one. I keep scrolling down the wrong bit by accident. Oh, see, okay, maybe this is the example where perhaps it being a slightly larger scale would work better. There's a lot of like spikes and just miscellaneous, like sticky outy bits all over that, and the hair is very like finely drawn. By contrast, the hair is a lot thicker, a lot fuller. The kind of spikes that are all over the picture are missing from the model itself. Also, I feel like the miniature is more, it's like scaled to what a human is. Does that make sense as a sentence? Probably not. Whereas the art is very, very exaggerated. Like, the legs are super long compared to everything else, right? The legs are super long. I feel like maybe are the arms actually quite long, or is it just that the legs throw everything else off? It kind of gives this uncanny, strange feel to the artwork, which the miniature lacks a little bit. And I think it might just be like a scaling thing. I feel like the miniature is thicker. Don't take that out. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like, just the proportions are such, whatever. I feel like there's a difference in proportions, right? Which kind of changes the attitude of it a bit. It's definitely not grabbed me as much as Jaeger in the first one. But again, the sculpt looks decent. The sculpt, like, it's not that the sculpt looks bad, the sculpt looks decent. I would really like to see the actual miniature. I'd really like to see it in plastic or resin or metal or whatever it turns out to be. We'll find out later, I'm sure. But I'd really like to see an actual physical version of it, because that could make a huge difference. Something that I've found increasingly when it comes to 3D printing is I will find an STL, I will go, oh, that's quite nice, I quite like it. I'll get it, I'll print it, I'll see the physical version, and immediately like it 10 times more. Like, the number of things that I've bought going, I do like this, which has then become, I actually love this, when I'm holding it in my hand, when all those details are like rendered physically. You can still get that from a picture of a physical miniature. You still get to see those details, but in a way that's real as opposed to rendered, which does make a big difference. Like, I genuinely think it does. I would actually really like it if they had that. I might be judging too early. They might be like down at the bottom of the page or something. So Osterhilt is the next one. God, that's hardcore. That's quality. I really like that. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous in the best way. Huge bunch of like cable, like dreadlock-esque cables there. The sort of robotic jaw looks great. You got a nice little sight over the eye. But the armor is, well, I was gonna say the armor is like a bit more ground. Is it a bit more is it grounded? Is it really though? I don't know that it necessarily is. There's a lot of like segmenting. Is that even the word? Is that even the right word? Like overlapping plates. That's probably not the right word, is it? There's a lot of that going on. I do like that a lot. Really nasty looking axe? Gun axe? Yeah, the haft is like, yeah, it's curved, isn't it? And there's a guard for a trigger. Hardcore. Love it. Absolutely love that. Great idea. Yeah, no, 10 out of 10. I just really like that. That's awesome. So yeah, Osterhilt looks fantastic. We got the other angles. Nice bit of chainmail going on as well. I mean, the giant spikes on the pauldrons are hilarious, but in a good way. Yeah, I mean, I just really like that. That looks really cool. That's really fun. What's the full? Oh, interesting. So is that based off just the headshot? Because that's a massive amount of like extrapolation for that head. I would have ended up like saying something insectoid or I don't know, more like I guess bioorganic, I guess. But I'm not disappointed. That's a pretty badass sculpt. And again, it looks good. Details wise, it looks good. This is definitely one where I feel like if you had the actual physical thing to look at, it would be beneficial. Because I feel like a lot of the details on the armor and stuff would just, I don't know, they'd like pop really nicely if you could see them proper. Okay, yeah, Osterhilt looks decent, right? So finally we've got, oh god, Apollonia, wasn't it? Apollonia. Very, very inquisitor, very, very sort of rogue trader in all the best ways. Yeah, I do like that one a lot. I think I like that one the most. I think that might be my favourite of all of them. I think that might be the favourite. Yeah, it's very evocative of you know, the other thing, what I used to work on for a very long time. But this is the fun thing, right? This is the thing I'm actually really enjoying about looking at these. In a couple of instances at least, it feels very like you could look at them if you didn't know who John Blanche was, which actually I guess we should have said at the start, shouldn't we? He's like the godfather of how 40k looks. He's like the one who did so much of the art that inspired so much of how the models looked. Like the whole like visual language of 40k basically comes from him. I mean, it's very reductive. There's a lot more history and stuff that goes into it. But John Blanche is hugely influential on just how that universe looks, how that IP presents itself, right? So it's kind of weird and like funny, but in a positive way, I guess, that I keep having to reset my brain. So I'm looking at stuff and going, oh, that feels quite derivative of, oh no, wait, it's not. It's not derivative, is it? Because it was him to begin with. That really like self-contradictory moment of, man, that looks a lot like an Inquisitor. Oh yeah, well it would do, wouldn't it? Yeah, that makes sense. That looks absolutely fantastic. So other angles, yeah, I mean, just looks good all round. Just looks good all round. The artwork obviously is going to be an absolute. Oh yeah, there you go. I was going to say it's going to be great. It's going to be an absolute banger, and it is. It is. I have to admit, I think I prefer the like skirt. Dress, train, bustle, like what is, I don't know, arse cloak, that's not a real thing, is it? I don't know what you describe that as. Is it like a half, I don't know. The thing going behind the legs, I don't think it's a skirt, is it? It looks more cloak-like than that, but it's not a cloak, unless there is that type of cloak. It's interesting that seems to have been mostly a kind of feathery, it's a lot more feathery in texture, right? There's a lot more, like, individual strands of stuff, but for the model it's become quite, I don't want to say plain, but there's a lot less texture going on there. The model isn't bad, but I actually feel like, I don't know, I don't know. It could be an absolute nightmare to try and like cast that or whatever, in which case totally get it, totally get not doing that, but yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting change. That is an interesting change. I feel like that's one of the bigger changes across all of the like artwork versus model comparisons. That feels like one of the bigger changes. But yeah, I think that looks fantastic. I think that looks really good. That's great. Okay, so let's just have a quick scan. They're going to be produced by Zealot Miniatures, Cyocast thermoplastic. Okay, so they're going for Cyocast. Oh, do they have a painted one here? Oh, digital paint over. I was going to say that looks extremely... Not bad. Bad isn't the word. That's not what I was thinking. There's a very specific look to digital paint overs where it's like almost like Uncanny Valley miniature painting, where it looks kind of right, but also doesn't look quite right at the same time. That kind of falls into that category for me. I do think having some colour on it does help, but again, I'd really like to see the actual physical. There we go. That's what I was after. A test print, sure, but it's still something. See, to me, and you may like think that there's actually no difference between that and the digital preview. That's totally fine. I find that easier to process. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's a lighting thing. I don't know whether the fact that it's moving around a bit and so you can kind of get a glimpse from almost every angle. I just find that easier to get a feel for the miniature. I actually think that Jaegerin looks better now. Like that looks to me better than the render does, which I'm fully aware. You don't need to tell me that doesn't make sense because they're the same thing. That's a test print. They used the file that is on the page to print that. I know that full well, right? You don't need to tell me, but I still think that is just easier to pass for whatever reason. And it's exactly the same thing that I find with like printing stuff at home. I think that looks better. I think the details are popping a bit more clearly. I think you can make out the actual like individual elements a bit better. Yeah, I mean, looks good. Looks good. My assumption is that this has been 3D printed since they've specified test print. But the Cyocast stuff will obviously be a different material. But yeah, I think that gives a good feel for how it looks. Have they done any for any more? No. Okay, so those are the parts you get. So yeah, multi-part, which makes sense if they're Cyocast. And the anticipated delivery date, March/April 2025. Just an estimate. If they exceed the funding goal significantly, it might take a bit longer. Okay. God, this font's terrible. What? I'm sorry. I know it fits. The sort of... Stylistically, it works. But... boy, what... Show that to someone who doesn't actually know what that already says. You gotta do some real detective work. Wun-backed nom? Like, what? Bad font. Good choice stylistically, bad choice for readability. So, they will be interesting. Interesting that. So enjoy a discount compared to retail prices. Offering this at a low profit margin exclusively for Kickstarter backers. You also get them before anyone else. So they are going to be a retail thing afterwards. That's the impression I get. So the price will be higher. Starting to get fantastic freebies. The more it exceeds the funding goals, etc., etc. Obviously supporting John Blanche. And then for Stretch Boat, we've got Kickstarter stretch goals, additional targets. Yeah. The first couple of stretch goals we have lined up are free for all backers. Okay. And then more stretch goals are possible, including new sculpts, etc., etc. So we've got Drummer of Hearts, another miniature. I mean, that's already unlocked because it's at like 20,000 or something. I'll have to double check what the current rate is. So a little teddy bear with a drum. Why? I mean, I would like it, but why? I would love to tell you what the name of this one is, but I'm not sure. Busbin? Sure. Alternative hat for Witch Hunter. Okay. The Witch Hunter is Jaegerin, by the way. Have they actually mentioned that Jaegerin is the Witch Hunter? Is that anywhere? We're going to come back down to this. Is that anywhere? Does it say? Let's just have a quick glance. Let's go back up here. Jaegerin was the first one, right? So, yeah, that's the first one, Jaegerin. Apollonia, Osterhild. There's the name. There's the artwork. Name and artwork. No. a brief scan. I mean, we've just been through this. We've just been through the whole thing, and there wasn't any. Because that's potentially a little bit confusing, but that is clearly that model, right? So, yeah, there's an alternative hat for Witch Hunter, otherwise known as Jaegerin. Arse of the Covenant. That's probably not what that is. New miniature, again, 10,000. I mean, that I want to see. That I really want to see. That is an add-on, though, so £8 add-on. That looks like it could be fantastic in miniature form. That looks so good. Be interesting to see if they add more stretch goals on as well, because I'm pretty sure they've blown past 10,000 already. And then you got various shipping things as well. But you can check that out. You don't need me to check that out for you. You don't need me to go through literally every inch of it, even though we pretty much have. There is also like a bit of information on John Blanche, like in the Kickstarter campaign at the bottom. So it's worth, if you don't know who he is and you've spent half this video going, what? Then do go and have a look and look him up and see just how like profound an impact he's had. Oh yeah, 21,066 quid at time of recording with 696 backers. So I feel like they've nailed it. I think people are pretty much, there's not a dry seat in the house. People are absolutely frothing at the gash for some John Blanche miniatures, which I totally understand. For the most part, they look really good. I have to admit, the second one, not too fussed by, but the others do look fantastic. Oh, there's going to be people doing incredibly good paint jobs on these. Like, really, like, just very John Blanche style paint jobs, and they're going to look fantastic. Anyway, just thought we'd take a look at that. Something a bit different again. And, yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll put a link to it in the description so you can check it out. As I say, it's not a sponsored thing. I just thought we'd take a look. And now I'm going to go back to painting this tank, which is taking so long, but it needs to be done for Tuesday. So I'm going to go back to that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.